Hi everyone, I'm Ray and welcome to my kitchen. And today we are going to make a delicious coconut cinnamon cashew smoothie. Now this smoothie, it tastes like a dessert, but it fuels your body like a wellness shot. So it kind of tastes like horchata, which is a delicious beverage that's enjoyed in Latin American cuisine. And this is a bit of a healthier version because we're not using any added sugar. We are using in this drink cashews, which give you some fantastic plant-powered protein and healthy fats. And we're going to use some cinnamon, which is going to support blood sugar. And then we are going to use coconut yogurt, which adds a bit of creaminess and some probiotics. And then we are going to add a frozen banana, and that is where we're getting our sweetness. And then we're gonna put in some flaxseed, which is gonna give you some great omega-3s and more protein. Before we dive in, let me just tell you about a little bit of prep. So these are my frozen bananas that I'm putting in this drink. And those who follow me, you guys probably know already that when my bananas get too ripe, I break them into pieces and I throw them in the freezer. So these are out of my freezer. And then also I pre-soaked the cashews. So I did 2 cups of boiling water and then 1/3 cup of the cashews. And I let them sit for about 10 minutes so they're not rock hard. Okay, so those are the only 2 items that were kind of prepped, if you will. So let's dive in. This is the milk that we're using in today's smoothie. This is a coconut cashew milk, and its only ingredients are coconut, cashew, and a little bit of sea salt. And the beauty about this Elmhurst product, let me get closer so you can see it. So this ingredient, you don't have to use the coconut cashew, you could just use coconut milk, but I prefer the coconut cashew. Since it's a cashew smoothie, why not use a cashew milk? We've got 1 cup in here. And some people have asked me, when I'm just throwing things in the blender like this, how do I know it's a cup? Blender, my blender anyway, this is a Vitamix, and it has measurement markings on the side of this pitcher. So I can see where my 1 cup mark is, and that's how we know, okay? Okay, and so we're gonna put the milk in first. Anytime I do any kind of smoothie, liquid first, okay? Next, we're gonna put in the cashews. Again, this is 1/3 cup of pre-soaked cashews, so they're not hard as a rock. And then we're gonna put in the dry ingredients before we add the rest of the wet ingredients. And I like to do that because if you put the dry ingredients on top in the blender, it tends to stick to the sides, so I don't wanna do that. So that goes the flaxseed, and then this is the vanilla powder and the cinnamon, and that goes in next. And then we're gonna put the bananas on top of that. Before we do, let me show you. The flaxseed that I use, it's a ground flaxseed. It's often called flax meal, either one, same difference. And I just put it in a mason jar like this because it's more accessible for me. Okay, and then in go the frozen bananas. And I had these sitting out maybe just about 5 minutes so they would separate a little bit so they weren't like a big chunk of banana. And then here comes the creamy coconut yogurt. Now you've heard me talk about this brand before. This is Harmless Harvest. And this is a lunchbox size that I like for when I only need a few tablespoons. So this happens to be 3 tablespoons. It's not the entire container. And we're gonna put that in just to get a little creaminess, a little more creaminess, I should say. Now, I want to tell you also the flax meal, it's also going to thicken it up a little bit because when flax meal mixes with moisture, it becomes a binder, and so it will get a little thicker, which is good because that's what we want. We want kind of a thick smoothie here. And I'm gonna tell you, this no added sugar smoothie, there's no added sugar, there's no fillers. This is just real ingredients that love your body, right? And so it's creamy, it's dreamy, and it's so good. So I'm gonna start this out on low, and I'm just gonna get everything mixed together, and then we'll crank it up on high and then really get it going. We'll just let it run like this for 20-30 seconds, and then we're gonna crank it up. And here we go. done for a couple minutes. And that is it, folks. That's all it takes. Super simple, right? Now we're gonna pour it into this beautiful glass, and it's gonna be like a milk. If you want it to be more like a shake, you know, you could add some ice and that would kind of froth it up a little bit, but this is what I'm going for today. Wow. Look at how beautiful that is. Now this is gonna give me a pop of protein, some potassium, some healthy fats, so it's gonna be a little bit filling, and this is a meal, really. You could top this with a dash of cinnamon, which is what I'm going to do here because this is all about being a cinnamon smoothie. And there are different kinds of cinnamon. I choose to use the Ceylon cinnamon because the other cinnamons, they're much stronger, which gives you a lot more flavor, but you have to be careful about the amount you eat in a day. If this is all you're gonna eat, you know, in a day, then certainly you can use any cinnamon. I have a whole blog post on cinnamon if you want to know more about the different cinnamons and why to pick one over the other. So I'll put the link to that in the show notes down below, and you can go take a read if you're more interested in cinnamon. But let's have a taste of this delicious smoothie. Absolutely unbelievable. Delicious. Wow. Yeah, this is a do-over for sure. Now you could also put some cocoa nibs on top. You could also put some crunched walnuts on top. You can even do like date paste swirl if you want. You know how I love my date paste. But honestly, it is delicious just like this. Cheers, everyone. I hope you try it. So simple, so satisfying, so delicious, and it really feels like a guilty pleasure, but there's no guilt involved. Cheers.